Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today we have a workshop. It's more a quiz rather than a workshop, and we are going to work on your abilities to point out a wrong move that your opponent plays, a move that allows you to execute a winning tactical combination. So this is actually a very important a very helpful exercise that every chess player should work on to be able to improve. Can you please get rid of all arrows, all drawings here? Okay. What we can do to make this exercise more complicated? When you analyze Grandmasters games, it does make sense to figure out where exactly things went wrong, where not only your task is to find the solution, so how exactly to execute a combination, but where one of the players made a mistake. And this is what we are going to work on. So I'm going to give you some positions, make a move, and your task will be to explain why this or that move is a mistake. Also, another exercise that you can do probably with a coach is to suggest several moves, and your task is to choose which of them is a mistake and which of them is a good move. Well, this is what we can try to today. Okay, what kind of typical mistakes we may figure out? Well, for example, if your opponent plays a logical developing move, he may overlook that there is already a threat. What else he may miss? He may miss that there is an exchange which allows your opponent to initiate a counterplay. Or he can miss that somehow the defense of the attacked piece was broken, and this leads to some unpredicted circumstances. Okay, so if everyone is ready, we can start. This is not the first position to discuss, but okay, so people are still joining. This is the first position to discuss. So it's black to move. Can you please get rid of these ticks? Otherwise, I have to do it every time. Okay, so my question is, what are your candidate moves for black in this position? Let's figure out what's going on. White is about to play knight c3 at the very next move, and this will bother the position of the queen on d5. So the queen would have maybe to go to a5. Also, d5 will be available for the pawn push, or maybe not. Maybe not, because bishop takes c3, then queen takes c3, winning the pawn. So if you were black, which moves would you play? Can you please make a list of moves? Three candidate moves. This is what I ask. Three candidate moves for black. Okay, then suggest knight c6. What else? Knight f6 is a candidate move. Fine. Bishop g4. Okay, great. Oh, bishop g4. Okay, now bishop g4, I would also say instead of knight f6, it makes sense to play knight h6. Why so? Because you don't block your bishop. So four candidate moves, this is what we have. Come on, please stop drawing, otherwise I have to ask you to leave our workshop, because it takes time and it distracts other students too. If you want to say something, just unmute yourself and say it, or type it in the chat like other students do. Okay, so knight f6, knight h6, bishop g4, knight c6. What do you think? Which of these moves is wrong and why? In order to understand it, you have to figure out what's going on in this position. So we cannot say that black is well developed at the moment. If they make a move, they are. But knight c3 is coming. After knight c3, the queen will be under attack. The position is extremely open in this case. There is a c file open. And the queen is already out of their original initial position. Let's say if we play knight c6 move. Does this move look like a mistake? Actually, it seems yes. This move is a mistake, but okay, why this move is a mistake? Who can tell me? Yes, exactly. Knight c3, queen moves. Even if the queen moves to there, it's still this. And the knight has to move. And then it can be bishop d4, for example. White dominates in the center. If, let's say, bishop c3, pawn takes c3, queen takes c3, then bishop d2, and two pieces are hanging simultaneously. So capturing on c3 doesn't work. And after the knight moves, white has advantage in development. For example, it can be even this, after which you can take, then play bishop d4, or you can continue with knight d4. I think this is the best, actually. And then bishop b5. With bishop b5, you threaten them to lose their castling privilege, or to play bishop d. Well, yeah, they lose their castling privilege anyway. So knight c6 is a mistake. It's not a losing move, but this is the move that allows white to execute initiative. What else? Is bishop g4 a wrong move? Well, it may weaken the queen side, but how do you take advantage of that? So because queen b3 means queen takes queen. Well, bishop g4 is definitely playable. It's not such a mistake. It's fine. Then what? Doing knight c3 means there will be what? There will be this move, bishop f3. Knight d5, bishop d1. Knight c7, king d8, knight takes a8. And what do we have? The bishop is hanging, so the bishop retreats to g4 or maybe to a4 this time. And then the knight seems to be trapped. Not sure. Rook c1 is coming, so maybe it's not so clear. So I think that after knight c3, we'd better move our queen back to a5. We cannot take on f3. If we do take, knight takes here. Even if white simply captures, how to defend c7? Knight e6 fails. Moving the king, well, moving the king is already disadvantages. So bishop g4 is definitely not the best move, but after knight e3 you can play queen e5, and this is okay. Knight f6. What about knight f6? Well, looks like a natural move, blocks the bishop and stops the attack. Still knight c3, queen goes there. This time d5 can be played, but it's not a tempo move, and that's why it's not so effective. Then they are likely to play maybe bishop c4. I don't think knight e4 works. I think it's possible just to castle, and if knight c3, queen d2, for example. Yeah, well, this is playable. White has some advantage, but it's playable. What about knight h6 move? Is knight h6 move a mistake? So Carlos thinks knight f6 is the best, and my question is about knight h6. So knight h6 is a mistake, and black played this move not really thinking about what is going on in this position. Then it is queen c1.
Oops.
Queen c1 does a double attack. This and this. So black just didn't pay enough attention that their bishop on c8 is the object of the attack when they played knight h6, and this is how they lost a piece. Bishop g4, it wasn't the very end, but now they don't have any compensation. So here they played knight c6 in the game, but capturing isn't much better. So for example, rook g1, rook g3, and it's completely fine. If knight c6 this time, if knight c6, it can be queen e3, for example, defending on d4. So knight c6 was played, bishop g2, they took on d4 finally. If knight takes, I think it's just castle. Let me show you. So this is castling the best. Maybe it's better just to continue with
Knight c3.
There is a fork and there is a check here. So knight c3, for example, it's knight c2, then the king moves and another check on d3. No, it seems that castle is the best, so they can take, but then king h1 looks okay. And it's still extra piece, this time for 2 pawns, but there is a pin and white has a better development. And such move like knight c2 fails too, because of knight c3, and then the rook can freely move. So in the game, it was queen d4, knight c3, queen c4, and castle queenside, after which black resigned. So you see, we have 4 candidate moves, and if we were playing with black pieces, by analyzing these candidate moves, even in such an early stage of the game, we would figure out that such moves like knight c6 is a small mistake, and knight h6 is a blunder. And if so, we would prefer either knight f6 or bishop g4. I would say knight f6 is better. It seems like the most logical move. Then there is no queen c1, and you can simply castle and keep developing your pieces. Fine, let's continue with the next example. So it's white to move. What would you suggest for white? What black wants in this position? Okay, John asks if black can check on e6. Yeah, that was possible. But okay, we skipped it already. So let's continue with this position. What are candidate moves for white here? Okay, fine. So c5. What else? Castle. F3. Bishop f3. What else? F4 maybe. Maybe f4. Okay, what else? Knight d2, knight d7, knight takes knight. Knight f2, Brian, what do you mean? Do you mean knight f7? Well, knight f7 is definitely not the move that we should analyze. Retreating the knight to f3, maybe, but seems passive. Knight f7 is unlikely to work. You just don't have enough pieces into the attack, and there is enemy bishop that can cover light squares. So it's unsound sacrifice. You can, even without calculations, you can just see that, for example, knight f7, king f7, then what? Bishop h5. Well, there is g6. There is bishop g6. So, for example, g6, then king moves to the safe square. Then the queen is ready to defend. So, no, you don't have material advantage. on the king side. Black wants to castle. Black wants to castle to take on e5. So that's why I don't like c5 move. So c5 is actually a mistake, isn't it? I don't think that g2 is hanging at the moment because after rook g1 there is rook g7. C5 is not a strategic mistake. Well, maybe from a strategic point of view, it's a mistake too, but it's a concrete mistake after which white lose material. So what's wrong with C5?
You could play bishop e5 and then follow
Yeah,
with knight c5.
that's right. So it's just a pawn blunder. So C5 is a mistake. What else do we have? There was F3 suggested. Well, what do you think about F3? F3 seems risky, actually. Mm,
I
there
think
is quick
f3. I was going to say I think
king.
f3 is a good move if you're going to follow up with e4. But let's say he goes f3 and then like bishop h7 or something, and e4 is going to be a tough move to get in. And
Exactly.
I don't
E4
know
should be
that that's
supported, but how? And
maybe
if knight e5 or bishop e5 happens, then what's the point of playing e4? So I don't think it works. F3 is unlikely. Bishop f3. Well, bishop f3 is fine. If bishop f3 is played, then how can we continue? Queen e5. With queen e5, we can at least provoke them to play king f1 move and lose their castling privilege. But if then we trade the bishops, they have their rook on the G open file. So that's why king f1 is not such disadvantages. Yeah, well, doing f4 instead of f3 makes more sense. That's for sure. Bishop g2 still is. Oh, maybe bishop g2 is this time playable. Yeah, f4, bishop g2, rook g1, and queen h4. And then the king has to travel. And then queen h2 can be played even. No, f4 is a mistake too, actually. Let me show you. So this, then what? Rook g1. Well, it's possible to take, but if you take there, I can take the rook already. So that's why rook g1 and then queen h4. King moves and queen h2. I think black is winning. Two extra pawns. The king is in trouble. I can also do better here. So f4 definitely fails. What else? Bishop f3 maybe. Castle. Yeah, castle is probably the safest move. But there is only one problem with castling. What is this problem? Okay, the problem is queen g5 move. For example, castle. Let's take on e5 first and then do queen g5. I just don't know which piece it's better to do with. Okay, let's take with this. Take queen g5. F3 is tempting. And then after queen e3, king moves and two bishops are hanging. Fine. That's why let me take with a bishop. pawn takes, then I do queen g5. I'm attacking g2. So f3 doesn't work because of queen e3. Bishop f3 doesn't work neither. This is fine. Queen d4, knight f3 even. Then what else left? G3 works. Yeah, G3 works. But G3 creates already serious weaknesses in their position. So now F4 is coming. I don't have time to capture there because of F4. And what should I do? Probably castle and open the position with F6 move. Queen f5, h3, but what do you achieve with queen f5? So queen f5, let's say they play f3 themselves. Then where do you move your bishop? c2? You may lose it there. So because queen h3 doesn't guarantee checkmate. Another strategy you can try is h4, h5, but I think it fails because they are going to play h4 themselves and chase our queen away. So that's why I think that after that, you have some initiative on the king side.
What about a queenside castle?
Queenside castle.
After queen g5, after g3, right? After g3, queenside
Queenside
castle, and
castle.
then push those
Possible
pawns.
strategy too, because it's hard to attack on that side. E5 wasn't hanging because there is always a 4. I mean, so for example, take that, then it's a 4. And queen f5 doesn't help. Just rook f2 or bishop f3. So castle is a possible candidate move, after which the position is unclear. I would say it's a little more favorable for black. What else do we have? Knight d7 is a candidate move. So what do you think? Is knight d7 a mistake or not? Well, they can trade and then they castle and then there is no queen g5 and no weaknesses on e5. What's your opinion? It doesn't look principled. Well, I think the black's position was already better. So that's why white should make such moves to not let black to increase their advantage. Maybe black takes with the king, allowing queen g5. I think it's quite suspicious with the king. Because if queen g5 doesn't win the game, so bishop f3 and everything is defended, and you have the king on d7. Okay, so fine. There are suggestions. John suggests to make intermediate check with queen a5 move, king f1 then. So, I mean, knight d7, queen a5, king f1, and you also have to take with the king, right? So, looks like we don't really get much benefits with this move. Both kings lost their castling privilege. Maybe the black one is better placed, but if they do so, I'm thinking about f3, king f2, then why not? Oh, it's okay for white. At least they are not much worse. The problem of knight d7 is that that's right. So black is not forced to take immediately. They may have some intermediate moves. And as you noticed properly, this diagonal is the key. The problem is that once you do this or this check, so either bishop b4 or queen a5, the king goes to f1. What does it tell us? Which move should we play first?
Bishop b2.
Yes, once we play bishop g2, we threaten rook, knight, and this deadly check. That's why this obvious by the first glance exchange of the bishop of the knight for a knight becomes a blunder. They played rook g1 in the game. What else they could do? c5 is, for example, an opportunity. But c5, you can do what? You can take the rook. They take there, you take here. And it's not trapped. If they play f3, you can take on d6 and then invade their camp. If they don't, then you go back at the very next move and you have extra exchange. The game is not over yet, but black seems to be winning. What did happen in the game? Bishop g2, rook g1, bishop b4 check, and now they have to sacrifice material. So what did we base our idea? We based our idea on the fact that there is a weak diagonal. If the bishop was on c1, we didn't have such an idea. However, if the bishop was on c1, we would capture on e5 right away, and we would win a pawn on e5 for free. So what we had to notice is that after this, then it's okay. But if we include this move, bishop b4, then it's a problem. And we can do it even if they take our knight on d7, because it doesn't limit our bishop activity. Let's continue. Black to move. What are your candidate moves? Well, this is from Can Sicilian. The variation where the bishop d3 move is played as the fifth move. Okay, thanks. Thanks for your suggestions. Let me pronounce them. E E5, knight F5, knight E4. So E5, knight. What do you mean knight F5? And knight E4? You mean white plays? No, for black. Candidate moves for black. Okay, John suggested E5 move for white, then knight F5, knight E4. Then you lose your queen. You can take the enemy one, but then you lose a piece. So no, but moreover, it's black to move. Candidate moves for black. Okay, so Carlos suggests to castle or to play b6 move. Well, Carlos, in this exact position, I would suggest b5 instead of b6. Okay, anyway, b6, knight e5 is suggested by Dan. No, rook e1, no, f6. f6 is a possible move too. H6. Okay, sorry, I didn't read it properly. Okay, H6 was also suggested by Carlos. What else? Okay, so we have four candidate moves. Well, I don't think that we should analyze castling. Why not? It's just a blunder. The knight on e7 is not protected enough number of times. So f6, h6, and knight e5, three candidate moves. There is also d5 move, but d5 seems like a blunder too because it opens the diagonal. No, so f6, h6, and knight e5. Okay, let's discuss. First, what about f6? Oh, h6. What do you think about this move? What does this move allows white to play? Not really much, right? So what our candidate moves here are? Well, this is obviously hanging. We have to take immediate actions. Let's take there. They take with a knight. And then let's try e5. I don't want to play e5 right away because it means queen takes g5. So that's why h6, bishop e7, knight takes e7, and d5 after that. The queen doesn't have squares. So most likely they can play knight f5, for example. Knight f5, and after knight f5, what I have to do is to probably just move my queen there, and then my plan is to play knight e4, knight d6. Okay, let's make these moves on the board. So this, knight takes, then we play e5, knight goes to f5. Okay, so before continuing with my original plan, let's do this, because this stops the king from castling. And a5 seems like a blunder. I'm not threatening with g4, of course. The g-pawn will be pinned and it's too risky to open the position like that. But I am threatening with maybe this move or maybe this move. Both seems to be a threat. Well, I think that white is better here. After knight e4, knight d6, it's a tough position. Okay, so what about f6? Maybe f6 is better. Again, there is a threat of two threats even to capture the bishop with two pieces, queen and pawn. Then this bishop has to retreat. Where does it retreat? So let's say it retreats to d2, for example. Well, we must retreat the bishop, right? e5, queen g5 just. So the bishop retreats to d2. This move allows black to continue with, well, this is a threat. So for example, they can continue with queen f7, then maybe play knight g6, and then try to castle. So it's playable. I think it's completely playable. Brian also suggested d6 move. I don't think it works. Then it's e5, knight f5, and at the very least they can take and win a pawn on d6. So that's why I don't really like it. And Dan suggested knight e5. What about knight e5 move? Is this move a good move or a blunder? It stops e5. There is no f4 because the pawn is pinned. Moreover, if the bishop takes on e7, it's even a trap. Yes, okay, let's figure out what happens in case if white captures on e7. Yeah, it's knight f3, thanks. Bishop takes e7, knight f3, so this is a fork, and black wins queen for two minor pieces. Bishop e7 doesn't work, so that's why maybe this is a good move. What's your opinion? How white should react on this move?
And 92 could be tried.
92 coming to f4. Possible, but maybe too slow. If you play such a move, 92, what if they play just, what, h6? h6, and you still cannot play bishop e7. And if you move the bishop, it's knight f3. And if you play knight f4 for h6, then queen g5, and they save their queen. So 92 looks slower. Then we... King h1 is the other suggestion. King h1 makes sense. Then this knight is under attack. Okay, this is where they can, instead of h6, play f6. And it seems to be fine too. So king h1 is not such a move that allows us to parry knight e5. Okay, knight d2 is the second candidate move. Still f6.
I think
f6
bishop
seems...
e3.
Can you repeat, please?
Sorry, bishop e3 is a candidate here.
Yeah, after f6, bishop e3, fine. They are going to capture on d3 maybe, and then castle.
There's still knight f3 there. Never mind.
Knight f3. Well, with the
Yeah,
knight on
bishop
d2,
e3.
no.
Oh,
With the knight
okay.
on d2, no. So this is what who suggested? Carlos suggested knight d2. So and after that, I said f6, and after bishop a3, there is no knight f3 anymore because of this knight. So that's why I think that we can take once and then castle and capture there on the next move. Actually, let's capture on d3 right away and then castle. And this looks playable because this rook lift is not sufficient to create any danger. I still think that white's position is good, but well, let's say this move. How can we play queen f7? Yeah, let's do queen f7. Rook h3, g5. Queen moves and then knight g6. The queen moves to h6, for example, then after queen g6, white has to trade queens, which they would better avoid because if with no queens, they have no attack. And
Well,
their
it's
queen
better
is
to bring the
also
knight than just attack with the
bring
stupid
the knight.
system.
How to bring the knight? Knight f3.
Okay.
But where does the knight go then? Let's say b5. Oh, you can bring the second knight. Well, yeah, but again, I don't see a clear advantage. White is fine here for sure, but isn't white is definitely not winning. That's why we should parry knight e5 with a different move, and this different move is actually bishop e2. Why bishop e2 is such a clever move? Well, it seems that we just saved the bishop and covered f3, but what else are we threatening?
Bishop e7 is the threat.
Bishop e7 is a threat. Is it the only threat?
No, there's bishop h5.
Bishop
And
h5
bishop
is a
h.
threat.
Yeah, two threats, right? Bishop h5 and bishop takes e7. And what is important too is that the bishop e7 threat becomes possible because we already cover the f3 with our bishop. Well, what did happen in the game? Well, if f6, then bishop h5. This is actually what happened in the game. This move, bishop retreats. Why bishop retreats? To save more pieces, because in case of that move, it's knight g6 and two pieces are hanging, and white is likely to lose the second bishop. So they retreated to d2, and this queen cannot move. This is how they won the game. If, let's say, h6 in this position, again, nobody cares. It's just simply possible to take there. This is a plan, but again, this h6 takes, knight takes g6, and this is the case where black could get two minor pieces for queen and pawn. But you see, knight e5, it's a natural move for Concilium, but this time it became just a blunder because of bishop e2, and according to our analysis, the best candidate move is f6. Because f6 allows us to get an escape square, to get rid of this bishop takes e7 threat, and we don't blunder e5, because we are threatening to take the bishop. And knight e5 can be played after that, after we eliminate at least a threat of this move. Bishop captures knight on e7. Okay, let's continue. What do you think in this position? Black has several natural developing moves. What are they?
I think knight b5 would be a better move.
It's black to move. Then can you specify, please, bishop h5? What does it mean? Bishop of f5
It
or
was
what?
from the last position,
Ah,
from the trapping the queen in the last position.
okay, okay. So what would you expect black to play here? Rook b8. Well, can you please explain? What for? Well, you can castle at least before playing rook b8. Castling is definitely more helpful. And yeah, if you want to advance your pawns, maybe this does deserve attention, but later in the game, let's first make some obligatory moves.
I think c6 would be a move because after the pawn takes, we can simply exchange queens and then we can take the second pawn.
Hmm. Yeah, c6 looks possible. I don't think that white takes. Probably white plays something else. I doubt that d6 is a good continuation, but just castling, for example, looks okay. C takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop takes. And this bishop adds pressure on b7, preventing the bishop from c8, preventing this bishop from development. c6, d6, knight f5. Then how do you save this pawn? With knight e4 move, maybe? Possible, yes, I agree. Yeah, this is also a possible strategy. I think what I would do is just this. Takes, takes. Now I'm threatening to take and ruin the pawn structure, so the knight must take, and then this. And there is a long-term pressure, so probably castle. Then rook e1. And there is still a problem, so you have to play queen c7 to defend it first. c4, rook d8, and queen f3, so there still be a long-term pressure. White has some initiative. I'm sure that if black plays properly in 5 moves, they can equalize, but some initiative anyway.
Can you go back for 2 moves?
Which,
After the exchange of pawn d pawn. Yeah, there, bishop takes. Now castle, yeah. Queens. Now
yeah, I played rook e1 for white.
rook e1, rook e8.
No, then queen f3 right away.
Queen c7.
Fine, c4.
And bishop e6.
And bishop b7, you take on c4, but there is a rook hanging.
Yeah, now first rook b8.
I can also first start with this move and then this, so I don't know. Let's
No,
do
no, no,
this right
no.
away.
Yeah, bishop takes bishop.
Well, some problems for black, right?
Yeah, some problems.
So c6, okay, c6 is a candidate move. So what else? A castle is definitely a candidate move. Any other suggestions? No, I don't think we should analyze rook b8 seriously. It's definitely not a blunder.
H5.
H5 with a pawn. What for? To play h4.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a
the problem of
pentacle
this
to
move is that they can play knight e4 and take here. Also, what about h5, h4? Then you can try bishop g4. Oh, that's the point. Okay, no, h5, knight e4. This is poisoned. This is poisoned because there is a discovered attack. So knight takes, queen takes, queen takes queen, knight f6, and then black loses a piece. And my next move can be d5. D6, sorry. That's why I think h5 is suspicious. What about castle 1, knight f5, or bishop f5, for example? What can you say about these moves?
I thought of bishop f5, but bishop f5, then d6.
D6, you mean? Okay. So bishop f5, d6. Let's say what? Pawn takes d6. Bishop b7. This is what you're planning, right? Rook
Yeah,
b8. The bishop moves, but the number of pawns is equal.
yeah.
And so because of that, it should be okay.
But now you have the problem after knight e4. Knight e4 attacking f6 and d6 both.
Okay. So let's talk about this line. d6. C takes bishop b7, rook b8 seems to be a must. The bishop goes to back, and knight e4 is coming. g6. Knight e4 is a double attack. No. Okay, so knight g6 should be played then. Now if knight e4, I can go there. You can probably try this.
Knight d5.
Yeah, or maybe you can try bishop c6 now.
Yeah, bishop c6 check now. It is problem. Again, you have to go back.
What about just queen d7, and if knight e4, I can just, ignore it. Please stop drawing. Maybe I can just play d5, knight f6, pawn takes.
But now bishop h6.
Yeah, but I'm not intending to castle anyway, and you lose on b2. So castle is not coming. With this move, you can threaten with this, but it seems that I'm faster.
Bishop g7. Bishop takes f6.
This. Let me see. Let's start with this move first, because the bishop is compromised. Oh, no, I
Now
lose on d5.
bishop takes. Bishop takes.
No, I see I lost on d5.
Yeah, bishop
No.
takes is a fork. Bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, and check, and rook is on that fork.
Which fork?
Bishop takes e5.
Queen d4?
Queen d4.
Knight c4? Okay.
Now
Rook b6.
rook b6 castle.
But you lost a piece.
Okay.
So, okay, so then what? I don't know. Rook e6, knight c6, knight c4.
Yeah. So bishop e5 as well.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look so promising. You lose pawns on the queen side and sharpen the position. Black has pawns in the center.
But even if
d6.
don't give bishop e5, then I think white's position is comfortable. No.
Comfortable. No, I wouldn't say. I would say this position is winning for white.
Okay.
So this is winning. The one you suggested is slightly better for black, and this is winning if you find the proper move. Okay, let's first start with castling. Castling is definitely not a mistake. Most likely, white would castle themselves, and black could continue developing pieces. Like knight g6, maybe on knight f5 to go to d4. As for knight f5 move, is knight f5 a mistake or not? g4, knight h4, for example, looks good. The knight comes to d4 then. Can knight e4 be played in this position? For sure, but after knight f6, it's queen f6. So, for example, let's just castle then. And what I also like about this knight that it can go to d6, set a blockade, and you are trying to get rid of the knight on e4 as well.
Now, does white have the idea of playing h4?
What for?
h4, h5.
Okay, so I play stupid move, you play h5, then I just block it.
Okay.
Because I don't see with which pieces you are going to attack.
Right,
There
you're gonna take
is,
with the queen when if the knight takes the bishop anyway.
yes,
And then g4.
g4, knight, what is better? This, that doesn't look good. Knight d6,
g5.
take on g5.
h6.
Take, no, what else do you want to sacrifice?
And here, uh, my idea was queen d3, but maybe it doesn't
Well,
look good.
doesn't, well, queen d3, e4 just,
Queen
and you cannot.
d3, bishop f5 even.
Bishop f5 works, but e4 makes it trap. So you can play queen h5, but again, well, just queen g6 at least. Then I lose a pawn, but I already capture it too. So let me play this move then. And bishop g5 fails. There is no pin at the moment. If you try to prepare it, it will be too late.
Wait, bishop g5, queen g5, and there's no, and the h pawn's protected twice. There's nothing that can be done.
No, well,
So it doesn't work. It was
so
interesting.
just not enough attackers. So well, we did talk about this not enough number of attackers. And if the position was compromised, if let's say the pawn was there, then the g7 pawn was on d6, then we would do the attack. But
I
the
here
king's
here
uh,
I put my bishop after h5, h4. What will be black response?
oh, I just played a stupid move. But
Okay,
of course, I would play
bishop
maybe
g5,
knight d6
bishop
or
g5.
Because bishop g5 is a threat, yeah.
Say if you put rook b8, bishop g5.
uh,
Yeah, it's strong move.
so takes, pawn takes.
Take, yes.
And then queen h5 is a threat.
Then queen h5, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I can pair it with h6 just.
But I think that will be exposing the king, no? Because
Well,
he takes,
how?
takes.
Takes what with a rook?
No. Just hold on. Just hold on. I think first queen h5, h5.
Well,
Problem.
you can take, but I think it's too risky.
No. I'm not going to take. I'm just putting my queen on h5 only. Queen goes to back to h2.
And what is your concept?
f3.
Ah, that's the concept. Wait.
Long castle. Long
F3,
castle.
wait, F3. I just want to check if I can take. Takes, G5. Uh-huh. Queen G5. Well, I think it's promising. Let's do this. Um, but maybe just retreating with the bishop is better. Okay, let me retreat.
Long castle. Okay. Now, knight f2.
Rook e5.
D5.
Yeah, rook d5. Does that work?
No,
Queen
even,
takes knight f6.
Yeah, this is what I also noticed. This may work.
Oh, maybe there's a defense, but that looks
No. Rook
promising.
D5 is good. So then I have to play Queen E7, but I don't want to sacrifice the pawn. So okay, castle long. That's why let me just take here, delivery check, and then just take on d5. And there is just a fortress. There is no way you can get rid of the knight.
But even white has a good position after rook d5 and rook doubling
Well,
d5.
white had a good position before, so you didn't really improve it. And I played the stupid move rook b8. I played it just because I was wanted to know
Because
a
I
plan.
was thinking you will play h6 then and there.
H6 now? Well, maybe.
Instead of playing rook
Let me
b8.
play this move.
No, in fact, not playing rook b8.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to play originally.
But there, I think, just hold on.
So you can take and you can play bishop g5.
Yeah, take and bishop g5.
I'm just debating queen e5 or queen g6. Both moves are good. Queen g6. Or maybe queen e5 was better.
Maybe c4 here.
No,
No,
not
c4, not c4. What can I play? Queen d2? No.
Oh, yeah, I was expecting
Knight
it.
you
Please, I
have,
c4?
prepared knight e4.
he has knight e4 and knight c4 both.
Yeah, knight c4 also, yeah. So,
I think queen c1.
I was expecting it.
yeah, idea of h5.
Idea is h5. h5,
Yeah,
yes.
so I'm just thinking if this works. Does it? H6 works too. What else? Okay, let's do this move.
What's the idea?
To take.
Yeah, but h5,
Queen
you
takes.
take the
No,
queen
h5
takes.
could take queen.
Well, you
Yeah,
can take on e4 then.
and then you retake with a check, and then let's say the bishop blocks and for king f1.
No, well, I don't think it's so promising. No,
No, it's
well,
not.
if you let me check what the engine thinks about it. White is better, plus 0.5 in case of black castling. And h4 is not the best move. The best move is to castle. h4 is not the best move because he simply suggests to play bishop e7. And that's it. So I don't know why I didn't play it. My knight d6, well, okay, he suggests bishop e7 and knight d6 after that. My knight d6 move isn't so good because after knight f6, queen f6, and then castle, not even bishop g5, white is slightly better again. But just bishop e7 stops it. After bishop e7, it's even. Okay, fine. So let's go back. Knight f5 doesn't look like a mistake. It's a playable move. What about castle is a good move too. What about bishop f5?
I don't know.
Why this move is a mistake?
d6 with a tempo, take on d7, and the b pawn is valuable.
d6. Okay. For d6, actually, my suggestion is to take with a queen to trade queens off. Before that, we analyzed pawn captures, but I want to take with a queen this time. You can trade queens, like queen d6, pawn d6. Then you can take on b7, but I don't see advantage.
Wait,
Okay,
queen d6, knight b5, queen takes,
d1
king
check, castle queen
takes.
side, check,
I see, yeah, that
and
looks
a6.
bad for white.
Or c6, actually.
Yeah, that can't be played.
So, no, okay, then you are on the right way, but please find how you can do it better. In order to find such things, you should understand what's going on and what are these peculiarities of the position that can provide you with advantage. So here in many positions, you are trying to capture on f6 because the bishop from there cannot move. And that's true, the bishop cannot move even there. So in order to trap it, white plays g4 and on the next move plays g5. That's the end. It's winning. That's why black, when they have to develop their pieces, should first think what happens if they do so. Castle and knight f5 were relatively correct. Castle is better, knight f5 is okay too, but bishop f5 was a complete blunder. Okay, fine. The next example, it's for black. So the knight is under attack. It's possible to retreat with the knight to what positions? To b3 and to e2. So these are candidate moves. And it's possible to defend it with bishop e3 or knight c2. I don't think that we should look at such move like knight f5 because after bishop f5 we spend our bishop, which we cannot find a good square for. And this is how we remove the pawn from the center. Then we can take the enemy bishop. So that's why it's not so disadvantageous. So that's why I would say knight f5 no. Knight f5 is definitely not a candidate move here. Queen d7, let's say. Black pieces are fine. And so only knight e2, knight b3, bishop e3, or maybe the other knight can defend. What do you think? Which of these candidate moves is correct? Which is a mistake?
Looks like knight e2 is correct because there you have the better prospect for knight. But after going to knight b3, if he retreats the bishop, then knight doesn't have any future.
Okay, fine, got the point. Yes, knight b3, the knight is potentially passive. That's
I think
right.
we reroute the knight to g3.
Knight e2 and knight to g3. Okay, retreating the knight there allows what? What would black continue then?
Knight f3 check, followed by bishop h3.
But then you
Or
what,
maybe
win
bishop
exchange?
h3 followed by knight h3, maybe. I don't know, it's an idea.
Okay, so okay, well, yeah, maybe retreating. What about this move? Is this a mistake? Knight c to e2. Yeah, John, which knight to e2 you like? The d or the c? The d. Ah, okay. What if the c knight goes to e2? Okay, thanks, Georgios. Absolutely right. It loses the central pawn. Then you can take what is better. With the knight probably is better. That's why it's not a candidate move. Knight b3 is passive. The knight is passive there, that's right. So knight f5 leads to some advantage for black. Or what else left? Bishop e3, knight e2. Yeah, bishop e3 and knight e2. So let's talk about knight de2. This move doesn't lose a pawn, but how we can continue? Brian here suggested a sacrifice to get bishop to h3, then you can win exchange. So there will be, you're gonna get a rook and one pawn for 2 minor pieces.
I want to bring the other knight as well, and the queen, you know.
Uh-huh.
Because
maybe
after
there,
knight h5, queen h4, I mean, it looks like it's a lot of trouble. I mean, knight g3 with the f pawn pinned, and there's a lot of
okay, so
pressure.
let's enter this
If knight
line.
f3, if knight f3, g into f3, bishop h3, knight g3.
Knight g3, you think?
Knight g3, rook and bishop f1 back.
Yes, and this stops knight h5 and queen h4 and so on. So that's why, well, you can also try this thing, but it doesn't seem sufficient. Where? Here? Knight e1? No, there is no decisive attack. There is always a knight move that can cover everything. That's why you can actually start with this move, can't you?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because there is no f4, there is nothing else that can stop your plan. So, for example, king h1 or h2, here fails, right? Because knight f3 takes, queen h4. How do they defend it? With knight g1. But then you can take on f2, threatening to deliver this check, threatening to take on h3. Now, this should be a winning position because at the very least you can take there. I would say this. Well, if rook g1, it looks okay. Check. This and
Knight g3.
yeah, knight g3. Just let me see if this is better. No, it's not. So knight g3, and let's calculate material. I think black is better at 2 pawns and the rook for 2 minor pieces. No, white is better, actually. According to the engine, white is better. I just double checked it. Okay, so maybe I made a mistake. Let's go back. Bishop f2, and let's take. If rook takes, it's checkmate. So the king takes, and bishop h3 in this position, and then this is a threat. This should be winning. So you are still down a piece. You can also do a rook lift. No, anyway, it looks favorable. Let's go back. So maybe king h2 is a wrong move. I'd better play this move. But if I play this move, it's possible to bring the queen to h4 right away, and the attack seems to be promising. Okay, so it tells us that knight d2 is suspicious. What about bishop e3 move?
I want to calculate knight f g4.
Why do you want to calculate knight fg4? You already have some other ideas in mind, and first, to not spend much time on it, you'd better double check whether your previous ideas, your previous tactical motives work in this position too, or not.
Oh, good point.
If not, then let's start with knight g4 or something else, but maybe they already work. This time, bishop e3 is, well, for bishop e3, we have more obvious solution. Okay, queen b6. No, queen b6 fails. Knight a4. Okay, thanks. I'm also reading comments on YouTube. There was a suggestion. It's bishop h3. Bishop h3 here works. How does it work? This exact move order allows you to win at least a pawn and continue the attack. Now, when bishop takes knight, now you can do this. Only this order. If you do it in a different order, so for example, right now you cannot check. They take with a knight, but you can do this. Oh, well, the check is still interesting, but if you can just win material and continue the attack, it's better than just sacrificing a piece and doing the attack anyway. So bishop h3 this time fails because they have intermediate move bishop f5, and once you take it, there is no check on f3. That's why you should take on d4 a little later after they do this.
Wait, so then if they take there, then I see they have bishop h2 at the end if you decide to play. We could go back down that line.
So how do they play after bishop h3?
Bishop h3, you said that they played. No, with the other line where they not with bishop h3
Okay.
first.
So you mean this, and then bishop
Take.
h3, and after bishop f5, you said there is something else.
I was wondering about knight g4 here.
Knight g4, so bishop g3. You are
Yeah,
down a
and then
piece, and
and
this
the
one is
bishop's back.
hanging too. Yeah, well, bishop g3 is not the only move, but probably the most strong one. Fine. So only this move order with bishop h3 first and bishop d4 allows you to win a pawn and continue the attack. That's why bishop e3. And actually, the best moves in this position are knight b3 and knight f5 that we rejected in the very beginning because they led to unpleasant positions. Knight f5, bishop f5, and then knight d3, as I said. But knight b3 maybe is not so bad. Yes, the knight doesn't have many prospects, but at least white doesn't blunder anything. Okay, fine. So we have one more example left, but before we continue, I would like to remind you that the workshops are free. However, if you like this content and you would like to support me, you can do it using this PayPal link, for example. Let me copy it to the chat and explain how it works. You click this button, a new pop-up window appears where you enter which amount you want to donate. It can be any amount. Then you click PayPal, and it redirects you to enter your PayPal account. So you enter using your PayPal account, and then you transfer money automatically to my PayPal account. The second feature is to use Wise. Through this link, if you already have a Wise account, it works well too. I would really appreciate any help. Fine. Let's continue. This is our last position. What can you say, and what do you think black should do? Looks like approximately equal position. What white is doing, white is trying to successfully surround the pawn on d5. Well, black pieces are a little passive, but not bad. It's not a losing position. What would you play for black here? So my suggestions, well, I see bishop b5 is coming. That's why my suggestions here are a6 and rook c8. If you have any other candidate move to suggest, you're welcome. h6 look reasonable. Thanks, John. But for h6, you should decide what you prepared against bishop b5. Maybe bishop d7 is okay. Okay, let's start. h6. What do you think we should deal with? How white should play against this move? So is this the best option? Then maybe bishop d7 is fine. Maybe you have better suggestions.
No knight
Queen d.
b5? Knight b5?
Which knight?
c9.
C knight to b5 is a good move. So queen d7. Queen d7 is a candidate move. Okay. Here knight cb5 for sure. Why? You threaten the fork. If now rook c8, then it can be
Knight d6? No, sorry, knight c6.
and
Into
then
d6
knight
and
here.
then knight, yeah, into it.
Yeah, right. Also, bishop b5 is not bad. No, then bishop d7, so the rook is still closed. Okay. Yeah, knight cb5 works, because we threaten with a fork right away. It seems that maybe this is the best way, but then queen takes. This queen cannot be attacked, and you're threatening several threats as well as invasion even. So you are likely to win a pawn then. What else? Rook c8, then you can take there. So I don't know if rook takes or not. But if rook takes, you can take on a7. Now rook takes, rook, queen takes, and the knight successfully escapes. Does it? Queen b6.
Yes, I thought that was the idea.
The knight doesn't. The knight still escapes to b5, of course. So
Yeah, but knight.
yes, exactly. So you're up a pawn. So looks like h6 is a mistake, and actually we debate between this and this. So as for queen d7, not sure. Queen d7, this looks decisive. Because if you try something like that, I can take and then try to set such a blockade with my pieces. So knight c5, knight b6. That's why a6 or rook c8. So which move is a good move and which move, which move is a mistake? What do you think? Okay, so then says that after a6, knight a4 looks good. True. There is pressure there. Moving the rook now means losing the pawn on a6. So knight a4 is a problem. Maybe they have to do this move, then queen takes, and then they play b5. Knight goes to c5, and they have to spend a bishop. Not yet. E6 is also vulnerable. I don't know, but it seems that it's possible to survive for black. Then rook c8. So this looks playable. Knight a4 isn't such a move that ruins the pawn structure or do something serious. There is no much harm. So what else you can do against a6? Okay, so knight a4, knight a5 works well. Okay, maybe. Oh, then no, of course not. Sorry, it's bishop c7 just. Oh, thanks, Carlos, and thanks for everyone who donated. I really appreciate it. So a6, what do we have to parry? Knight c6 maybe, then this, and then doing knight a4 strategy. Seems promising, but this time they have extra tempo. They are still going to occupy it, and c6 is still vulnerable, so how to play? I'm sure white is better, but how much better? Just bishop d7, knight c5. Yeah, it's a passive defense.
So, but why not knight b6?
You cannot play knight b6, there is a queen.
Okay.
Yeah, so a6 seems to be okay. What about rook c8? Maybe rook c8 is fine too. What do you think? How can white play now? Knight cb5. Okay, John, I have a private question for you. How much tactics do you solve? Do you actually work on tactics? Because knight cb5, well, what for? They can play a6, can they? Okay, that's the reason. Because I usually, you play quite strong, but you miss tactics. And if you keep working on it, if you start working on it, you can improve your overall level too. Rook c8 is actually a blunder, and it's easy to figure out that such move loses material. Let me show you how. This. If rook takes, bishop b5, you win exchange. If pawn takes, you win exchange too, but this time with bishop a6 move. Look at these bishops. The rook can only move to a8, but even there it is trapped. That's it. So it's easy to figure out that rook c8 is a mistake. But in order to find which candidate move is a mistake and which not, you should understand what's going on in the position. And definitely you should consider consequences of your moves. Okay, fine. So this is what our class today was about candidate moves, and we tried to practice how to figure out that this or that move is a mistake or not. First of all, you have to understand what's going on in the position. If it's a blitz game, I don't think you can point it out only if you are very experienced in the position that you play. If it's a rapid game or the game with standard time control, then definitely yes, you pay attention what's going on, you look for your tactical threats, you create them even, and then try to predict your reaction, try to predict your opponent's reaction and how you are going to play that, which new opportunities you are going to obtain once he plays this or that move. Don't play too fast, especially if the position is unfamiliar to you. Okay. So that's all for today. We are going to have a next workshop on Sunday, and also either this week or next Sunday, I will announce the next series of group lessons. This series will be devoted to game planning. Fine. Thank you for joining and hope to see everyone next Sunday, same time. Bye-bye.